Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel, and today we're going to have a chat about chemical versus physical or mineral sunscreens and the differences between them, safety, and how to choose the best one for you. Before we get started, if you're new to this channel, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you're a returning visitor, welcome back and thank you for your support. So the reason I'm doing this video is I get asked a lot of questions about this all the time in the clinic, whether people wonder what's the best for them. They've heard that mineral might be better. Some don't know, think that chemical sunscreens are more dangerous, and also just people with sensitive skin or skin of color, people who've not gotten well with sunscreens in the past are not so sure. So I hope this is going to be a useful video. So obviously sunscreens, use them to protect your skin from the sun. It's very important, prevents skin aging and skin cancer and hyperpigmentation. And everyone should be using sunscreen. You should be using sunscreen all day, even if you're indoors and you're working by a window, because the UV rays can still get through the glass and they can get through clouds. So even on a cloudy day, it's worth wearing them. And certainly if you're using things like tretinoin and or hydroquinone or azelaic acid. So there are two categories of sunscreens. And these are what is known as physical or mineral sunscreens and chemical sunscreens. And there are quite a few differences between them that you should know about. Physical or mineral sunscreens, they're called mineral sunscreens because they tend to contain either zinc or titanium oxide. And these are minerals that form a barrier on the skin, and they deflect the UV rays from the skin. So really they act as a physical shield against these UV rays and block them and prevent them. So they're physically stopping the UV rays, and that stops them from penetrating the skin and causing skin damage. And these are known as the filters, so the ingredients that protect against UV rays. Zinc oxide and titanium oxide are mineral or physical UV filters. Chemical sunscreens have a slightly different set of ingredients or filters, and there's actually a greater range of them. And so the most commonly used UV filters in chemical sunscreens include oxybenzone, avobenzone, octinoxate, and homosalate, so a bit of a mouthful, less easy than the physical sunscreens. And these all work by so you apply them on the skin, and they actually absorb the UV rays, and so they then stop the UV rays from getting to your skin, but rather than reflecting them like the physical sunscreens, these absorb the UV rays and neutralize them by converting them into heat. And because they absorb the UV radiation, they stop it from damaging your skin. And because of the way they work, this affects the way they look and the uses for them. So head to head, both physical or mineral sunscreens and chemical sunscreens are widely available in most countries. The main differences: physical sunscreens, you put them on and they work straight away. Some chemical sunscreens may need a little bit more time, to kind of a few minutes to absorb before you can actually use them for activities or going out. So just bear that in mind. Although newer formulations tend to be less like that, but always look in the back of the label. The other is the way they look and feel. Physical sunscreens, because they're made from minerals like zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, they tend to be thicker, and they tend to, not always, but more often than not, they tend to leave a white cast on the skin, so they're not always particularly flattering on skin of color. Although, again, some of the newer ones, the lighter formulas, tend to be a little bit more respectful of that. Chemical sunscreens, on the other hand, there's a bit more versatility in terms of the formulas you find them in. They don't tend to leave a white cast, and they tend to look much nicer on the skin. They're also chemical sunscreens are also far better for things like water sports, or if you're going to be exercising and sweating, because they tend to not come off so easily with sweat or in water, compared to physical sunscreens, which tend to be a little bit less water resistant. One big thing that's worth noting is reef safety, and you'll see this on quite a few labels, thankfully, these days. But physical sunscreens tend to be reef safe, unless they use nano oxide. So always make sure you look for that label. Not all chemical sunscreens are reef safe, and actually some of the ones that are damaging to the reef are banned in countries like Australia. But you should always look at the label, because some of the filters are damaging to the coral reef. So always look for that if that's what you're concerned about, which we really should be. So yes. The other is irritation. So I tend to find, as a general rule, chemical sunscreens work on most skin types, but people with sensitive skin, reactive skin types like rosacea, may find them irritating and may cause irritation or redness. Also, they tend to cause, for a lot of people, wateriness or irritation around the eyes if they get too close to the eyes. Physical sunscreens tend to be much gentler, so they're better as a general rule for people with more sensitive skin, and that's why you'll find them in a lot of baby formulas and sunscreens for children and babies, but also for adults the rule still holds. Also, in people with acne prone skin, tend to do better with physical sunscreens, especially ones containing zinc oxide, and this can actually have a benefit in terms of reducing breakouts. But some chemical sunscreens are formulated with that in mind, so if you are looking for a chemical sunscreen, make sure it's suitable for acne-prone skin. And lastly, this is another one, which is hormone disruption. So some chemical sunscreen filters can potentially disturb hormones, and so are best avoided if you are pregnant, breastfeeding, or trying to be. During that period, a lot of women may prefer to just go ahead and use a physical sunscreen. So which sunscreen is better for you? It really depends on what your needs are and what your skin is like. If you have sensitive skin, acne-prone skin, reactive skin conditions, you may be better off with a physical sunscreen, or look for a chemical one that's specifically for that reason. If you're pregnant, breastfeeding, planning to be, you may be better off with a physical sunscreen, or if a chemical sunscreen that doesn't contain a couple of ingredients that I mentioned earlier. If you're likely to be doing activities outside that involve a lot of sweating or water activities, you may want to look for a chemical sunscreen, because they tend to be more water resistant. But again, check the back of the product, because some physical have been improved with that. And as a general rule, regardless of types, look for reef safe options so that we can be kinder to the environment. I hope you found this useful. I'm going to leave some articles I've written on both of these below that compare physical and mineral sunscreens and the ingredients in a little bit more detail, and address some of the controversies around chemical sunscreens. If you have any questions or comments, or want to share any tips or recommendations, please leave a comment below. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Until next time, stay beautiful.